They expect you to push back, to raise your tone, to roll your eyes, to do something that shows them they still have access. But instead, you do nothing. No escalation, no explanation, just disappearance. You don't leave. You vanish. Internally, silently, clean. They speak, and it doesn't land. They provoke, and you don't flinch. They wait for a reaction, and all they find is a blank field. Because real power isn't in resisting, it's in removing the target. Most people stay in the game too long. They want closure, to clarify, to win. But you don't win by fighting. You win by not playing. And when they can't find you emotionally, they lose their rhythm. They lose their narrative. They lose their grip. This is the withdrawal response. Not a tantrum, not a shutdown, but a tactical exit from emotional warfare. Let's begin. Let's unlearn the need to react. Let's redefine power as what you hold when they try to take it from you. You don't retreat. You remove. They don't need power to control you. They just need the right trigger. One smirk. One passive-aggressive tone. One intentional silence. And you're in motion. Defending. Explaining. Over-clarifying. Proving. But here's the truth. The moment you react, you've already submitted. Not to them, to the frame. You gave them proof that they can reach you. That your state isn't yours, it's theirs. Now, pulled, activated, shaped, and worse, you might call it being honest. I just wanted to be clear. I needed to say my side. No. You needed control and gave it up in the name of transparency. Someone says, relax. I was joking, and you laughed just enough to not look too serious. They just trained you, and you complied. That's not presence. That's predictability. And predictable people are programmable. You think you're being emotionally available, but you've just exposed your wiring, your tone shift points, your control panel. And now, they don't even have to push hard. They just have to aim. Let's now move into the next layer, not resisting the game, but removing yourself from it completely. Because power doesn't need to fight for stillness, it just exits the moment. Without a sound. You don't have to walk away to leave the interaction. You stay seated. You hold posture. You keep eye contact. But you're no longer accessible. They're talking to a version of you that's no longer engaged. And that's what makes it powerful. Because silence can be misread as resistance, but withdrawal. Withdrawal is emptiness. Unreachable. Untrackable. Unusable. They escalate. You don't. They perform. You don't record. They push, and it falls into a blank field. They think you're listening, but you're gone. This isn't stonewalling. This is precision retreat. Your emotional bandwidth is offline. Your energetic ports are closed. And what they say now lands on a dead surface. It echoes, but it doesn't bounce back. Someone raises their voice. You don't argue. You don't defend. You just stop participating. You don't give them silence. You give them no return signal. And what happens next? They feel it. They keep talking. Louder, longer, trying to find you. But you're no longer part of the exchange. You're physically there, but psychologically gone. Let's now take this internal retreat and show why it works better than any form of resistance. Because when they can't pull you, they collapse into their own weight. We now move into reversal by absence. They're used to push and pull. Say something sharp, get a rise. Say something vague, get a chase. Say something personal, get a defense. But when none of that works, the system breaks. Because withdrawal isn't silence, it's erasure. They speak into space and hear only themselves. No correction, no clarification, no confirmation that any of it landed. And that absence, it starts to bend them inward. They begin to question their words, repeat themselves, Zoftenton, retreat without knowing why. You never said they were wrong. You just stopped giving them a reflection. And without reflection, their performance crumbles. In arguments, this looks like you stop replying, you stop nodding, you stop showing signs of processing, you sit, you breathe, you let them echo into a void until they feel ridiculous, talking to someone who's already emotionally checked out. It's not passive, it's reverse pressure. You didn't attack, you just disappeared and left them stuck with their own energy. That's the weight of unreturned signal. That's the silence that hurts more than shouting. Let's now refine this into a repeatable strategy, a form of tactical disappearance that doesn't break the frame, it removes you from it entirely. You don't roll your eyes. You don't walk out. You don't slam doors. You just vanish. And yet you're still sitting right there. This isn't silence. It's signal removal. No defensive tone. No shift in posture. No micro-expression of disagreement. You nod. You hold still. But you don't give them anything to hold on to. They keep talking, but your energy's no longer returning the volley. It's like talking into fog. Words go out, but nothing comes back. That's not stonewalling. That's psychological fog. No resistance. No submission. Just disappearance. And that's what unnerves them the most. You're not rejecting them. You're just no longer reachable. They don't get to extract emotion. They don't get to confirm power. They don't even know if you're present. And in that unclarity, they start adjusting. They change tone. They clarify. They soften. All in search of a response you never promised to give. Because when you vanish tactically, you don't end the conversation. You take the oxygen out of it. Let's now explore why this disappearance isn't avoidance, but active dominance through non-presence. You're not withholding affection. You're removing leverage. And the absence becomes louder than any defense. You didn't insult them. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't even walk away. But they feel it like a door closed without sound. Because when someone expects access and finds nothing, they feel punished. Not by force, but by absence. And the beauty is, you didn't create pain. You simply removed yourself as the place where they used to unload. Someone says, "Why are you so distant?" You don't flinch. You don't reassure. You just let the question hang like a mirror. You're no longer a source of emotional payoff. No confirmation. No permission. No emotional signal to feed their need. And without that, they begin to spiral. What felt like control on their part now feels like exposure. They expected resistance. You gave them nothing, and now they're left pacing inside their own projection. Because your withdrawal doesn't say, "You're wrong." It says, "You're irrelevant to my state." And that is a message far colder than confrontation. Let's now explore how to hold this distance without breaking connection. How to remain in the room, in the moment, fully present, yet completely untouchable. We now step into the paradox of presence without exposure. You're still here, still looking, still listening, but something about you feels unavailable. Not cold, not distant, just unreachable. That's not absence, that's mastery. You've exited emotionally without exiting physically. You're not resisting them, you're simply not contributing to the emotional economy. No opinions to harvest, no signals to decode, no tone to mirror, and that makes you dangerous, because you're present but cannot be influenced. You sit at the table, you nod, you engage with clarity, but never with exposure. You hear them fully, but you let nothing register as obligation. Someone opens up. You don't match their vulnerability. You receive it, hold space, but remain still, and they sense it. This person hears me, but they are not entangled in me. That's the separation they don't know how to handle, because most people confuse presence with merging, but the highest presence never merges. It witnesses, it holds, but it never bends. Let's now seal this state into something strategic, a form of psychological disappearance that doesn't just protect you but flips the entire frame of interaction. You don't punish. You remove oxygen, and in that vacuum, the truth starts to leak. We now enter strategic absence. You didn't block them. You didn't ghost them. You didn't lash out. You just withdrew. Not out loud, not visibly, but completely. And that withdrawal wasn't noise. It was vacuum. Because when you remove access, you don't punish. You remove oxygen. And that space, that void, becomes unbearable to them. They don't miss your words. They miss the reaction they used to provoke, the emotional supply they used to extract, the access they thought was permanent. You don't give them silence. You give them absence. And in that absence, the truth starts to leak out. Suddenly they follow up. Suddenly they clarify. Suddenly they care. But they're not seeking you. They're seeking the feeling of control you took with you. You didn't threaten to leave. You just became not available to be managed. And now, they feel it. That they don't own your emotional state anymore. That they never did. That it was borrowed and you've reclaimed it. Let's now convert this into precision, into one discipline that compresses everything: presence without permission, silence without submission, disappearance without retreat. We finish with the challenge. For the next 48 hours, no emotional feedback. No defending your energy. No explaining your silence. Not chasing closure. No softening to protect their comfort. Just withdraw. Internally. Quietly. Cleanly. Let them push. Let them perform. Let them try every tone, every look, every question, and give them nothing to land on. Don't say you're done. Don't prove anything. Don't storm out. Just remove the oxygen and watch what happens when they realize you're not in the game anymore. They'll question, they'll poke, they'll repeat themselves, because silence might confuse them, but absence terrifies them. You don't need to disappear physically. You only need to stop feeding the moment. Every time you're triggered, exit emotionally. Every time you're invited into chaos, stand still internally. Every time they try to find you, let them find nothing. Comment, I don't react. I disappear. Say it. If you're done giving people access to your emotional center just because they reached for it. Say it if you're ready to lead without presence, to win without speaking, to dominate by withdrawing. You don't leave the room. You leave their system. And that's how power becomes untouchable.